Hey guys, how you doing? This is Pastor Ralph, Generations Church, where we believe that Jesus plus community action equals a new generation. So if you're here on this video, you probably were attracted from my thumbnail to let you know that there's a secret to keep you from dealing with this eviction that they don't want you to know about. And so I'm going to take a few lines. Now this is going to be a video where I'm going to have your attention for prepare. But one thing I do need you to do is get a notebook. Make sure you write down all of the information I'm going to give you. Right now, you know, here in Las Vegas, we're facing close to almost 200,000 people that may find themselves on the other side of where they lived and find themselves facing eviction. To us, at some point, that a federal moratorium was going to transition and keep going until October 3rd. Well, we discovered that August 26th, what they did was they stayed and blocked that. And so now that idea of trying to make it to October 3rd is fastly dwindling. But take heart. Not only did our city come together, Mayor Goodman did a wonderful job of working together along with the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada to go ahead and give you these wonderful steps to keep you from getting evicted. And so let's jump into this. The first thing before anything, if you're facing an eviction, the first thing we want you to do is do not leave the property. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because these steps that I'm going to give you, if you leave the property, you literally put them at bay, and then you set yourself up to find yourself being taken to court, being sued for the rent that you owe, and then ultimately affecting you when you want to rent another space because of this eviction that's on your record. So here's the first thing we want to do. Like we said, do not leave the property. The second thing that goes along with that is we want you to communicate. But here are the things that we want you to communicate. All right? The first thing you must always know is that any kind of confrontation must have communication. So we're going to need you to communicate with your landlord. And along with that, this is the first step you'll take. We want you to go and make sure, if you have not done already, apply for the rental assistance program. Connected to this video, I'm going to make sure that you have the link. This must be done online, but you must really take the time to do this. Okay? When you do that, it's going to do a couple of things. The first thing is that it's going to stay the fact that you received an eviction. Okay? But when you get that, there's something else that happens. When you get the eviction notice, you have to respond to it. Okay? What I mean respond to it is you have to go ahead and follow directions that are there on the eviction notice. Now, as I mentioned to you just now, the federal moratorium has been stayed, so it's not, it is not in effect to October 3rd as we thought. However, the date that you would want to focus on anyway, regardless of what kind of information you receive from the federal government, is the date that is on that piece of paper that is on the eviction, on your door, or whether you were served. That's the date that you want to stay focused on. But as soon as you get that, make sure that you respond to it. I repeat, you must respond to any eviction notices that you have, okay? Make sure that you are applying a chat for your rental assistance program. With a collection of those two things, then it kind of gives you an ability to say, okay, Mr. Landlord, this is where I am. And he now has to respect what the state says and the fact that you've taken those steps. Okay? Step number one, first of all, do not leave the property. Number two, make sure that you apply for rental assistance immediately. All right? Number three, make sure that you answer, make sure you take your time to answer that eviction notice. Okay? Because here's the deal, and I'm going to be straightforward with you. These benefits are available to you, but that doesn't mean they're just going to give them to you. So you have to be active, and you have to continue to make sure that you hit your court dates, answer anything that they tell you from rental assistance, whatever they ask you for, you have to make sure that you answer it. What the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada has done is they have set up where you can actually go right down to the office. You don't have to have an appointment. You can go right down to the office and individuals will work with you. And let me give you that information. You're going to go down to the Civil Law SelfHelp Center. I'm going to make sure that this is also connected to the video, which is also the Regional Justice Center. And here's the address. The address is 200 Lewis Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89155. It's going to be on the first floor, and their telephone number is 702-671-3976. Now, once again, let's say, because not everyone is computer savvy, tech savvy, sometimes we just try to figure it out as we go. Well, with something so important, we don't want to figure this out as we go. If there's an ability for you to go ahead and speak to the professionals, then let's do that. Now, I mentioned that there is a special thing. There's a secret to helping you stay this eviction. Now, stay with me because I'm going to share this one important piece of information that's really going to expedite and make this process go smoother. All right, so hang in there. The next thing that we want to do is, okay, well, what happens if I go down and I'm talking to them? How can I get some help there? The next thing is, what if you're unable? What if you're sick and shut in? What if you're unable to get into the vehicle and actually drive down there and go to the office? Well, the beautiful thing about it, they set up a telephone number that you can call, and they will actually walk you through your application right over the phone. All right? And here's this telephone number, 702-386-1070. So now listen, what we discovered here is our city, they're coming together trying to get us to navigate this storm. We're coming out of pandemic, and now they're giving us opportunity to try to make our way through so that we don't end up on the other side wondering where we're going to live. All right, so here's the next thing. I'm going to highlight this one more time. Do not leave the property. Now, you might have some questions. You might say, well, Pastor, I got a question. Well, if I'm living in this person's home and I haven't paid them rent and they're asking me, they literally gave me an eviction notice, and I don't leave, am I going to face any legal repercussions? And the truth is, you could if you did not follow this blueprint that we're giving you. So you want to make sure what? Number one is that you have filed for your rental assistance. Make sure that is done. Number two, you want to make sure that you're communicating and you're staying and you're following the dates and you're answering your eviction notice. If you have those things in place, then it also lets the landlord know that now the city is saying, we've got your back. But once again, you cannot fall through the cracks. Whatever is told to you to do concerning your rental assistance and dealing with the answer of that notice, you have to follow it to the T. Now, here's another thing. This is very important. If the landlord has served you more than one eviction notice, each one of those eviction notices must be answered. So here's an example. If you receive an eviction notice on the 3rd of the month and then the following month you receive another eviction notice, you want to answer both of them. But I've given you the number, right? 702-386-1070. Answer both of them, not just one of them. Because if there is any of that have not been followed, then unfortunately you can find yourself in a donut hole and an issue. Of course, this is a very emotional issue, a very emotional time. Keep it civil, okay? A lot of times you're looking at it, the landlord's upset, you may be upset, everyone, it's got a bit of anxiety going on with it. Keep it civil, make sure you're communicating, all right? And so with that, let's go through these 4 steps again, all right? The first thing we want you to do, in all of these here, I'm gonna have all the websites connected to this video where you'll just click the link and you'll start your process, all right? The first thing is apply for your CHAP, all right? Make sure you do that. If you do not apply that and you do not answer that notice, you are not in a good position. Or if you apply and then you think that's it and you don't follow the follow-up courses that they ask you to do, once again, you're left out in the cold. It's crucially vital to this whole process. Now you think, once you put in the process for your rental assistance, there's going to be time that's connected to it, right? Well, there is something that you can do in order to expedite your rental assistance application. And this is what you're going to do. When you go down to the court in order to file your petition to go along with your rental assistance, they're going to ask you, do you want to utilize mediation? The answer is yes, you do, a resounding yes. Because here's the cool thing that we discovered. When you opt in to do mediation, not only do they now make it a priority for you to get through the process, they have access to see where your rental assistance application is in the process, and they have the priority to be able to make that expedite. That's right. When you utilize mediation, instead of having to wait the long time period that it would take normally for you to have your rental assistance process, just because you chose mediation, they have the ability to expedite your application. That's huge. But once again, you got to stay civil. You got to stay focused. You got to do what they tell you to do. Make sure you're answering all of the evictions and relax. Pastor Ralph here, Generations Church. Of course, we're going to be praying with you. But when we say that Jesus plus community action equals a new generation, this is the community action that we're discussing. All right, so all this information will be connected to these videos. I'm so excited to be here for help. Once again, if you need us, do not hesitate to reach out. God bless you. Have a smile upon you. Glad to help. Bye-bye.